What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody, look, we're returning to Netflix and Warner Brothers, and I just want to say right off the bat, I am not happy that Netflix is purchasing Warner Brothers. As a matter of fact, I am against the Netflix purchase of Warner Brothers. All right, I've said that many times, but you almost got to appreciate the game that Netflix ran on Hollywood. Hollywood jumped into an arena that they absolutely could not win in, the streaming wars, like I talked about on the video yesterday or the day before. Hollywood just was out of their league when it came to trying to compete with Netflix and create, we're going to create HBO Max and we're going to create Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and Peacock. And all of those studios are dealing with debt and problems from trying to build their streaming services up. Meanwhile, Netflix is just chugging right along, just stacking paper. And now they've captured one of Hollywood's own. The irony of it all is hilarious. Hollywood tried to take Netflix out. When they removed all of that content, you guys remember back in like 2017, 18, 19, when they said, oh, shoot, you know what we're going to do? We're going to create our own streaming services like Disney. Disney went and they snatched all of that Marvel shit, Daredevil and all of that stuff, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. They went and they snatched it all off of Netflix. And they said, yeah, we ain't going to have it on Netflix no more. It's going to come over here to Disney Plus. And then we're going to build Disney Plus and we're going to compete directly head to head with Netflix. And Disney Plus proceeded to lose money, billions and billions and billions of dollars for 4 straight years, trying to build up the infrastructure, trying to build up a streaming service. Meanwhile, Netflix is just chugging along, laughing their asses off. That was the problem. All of these studios that decided, hey, we're no longer going to license shit over to Netflix. We're just going to do our own thing. They cooked their own goose. They played themselves. I talked about it on that video.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
What Hollywood needed to do was stay their ass right in their lane. Hey, we're theatrical, we're home video, all right? Physical media. That's where they needed to focus on because those are the two arenas that Netflix wants nothing to do with. They're trying to put all of that out of business. And this tweet like spells it out, right? Netflix teases that Warner Brothers theatrical release windows will evolve to become shorter. My pushback has been mostly in the fact of the long exclusive windows, which we don't think are that consumer friendly, says Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos. Yeah, it's the long exclusive windows. They didn't like this. So when you guys was rushing shit to, VOD because you wanted to cash in and you're shortening those windows, you're making theaters less relevant and you're making streaming and watching shit at home more powerful. Studios did it. That's why I kept saying studios did this to themselves. Okay. You guys remember this when Superman, right? Superman coming to digital August 15 after only 35 days in theaters. This is exactly what Netflix wanted. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it wasn't just Superman and Warner Brothers. You know, Jurassic Park did that or Jurassic World did that. They went to streaming in 32 days. All right. This is the problem. When you go to digital and you go to streaming or PVOD, when you do that, all you're doing is playing right into Netflix's hands because you're making theaters less relevant and you're training the audience to stay at home, wait 35 days, it'll be out. And so this is probably exactly what Netflix is going to do. All of these releases that Netflix is going to do, you know, again, like this guy says, yeah, these long exclusive windows, that's not happening, man. We're done with that. The only way to beat Netflix is to compete against Netflix in arenas Netflix cannot compete in. So you got to say, hey, 90-day theatrical windows. That is an absolute must. There's no way around that. 90-day theatrical window. You got to do it. And then you got to start reinvesting and refocusing on physical media. Again, Netflix doesn't want anything to do. Physical media goes against Netflix's business model. So you got to think about it from a businessman's perspective. They don't want you to have a whole big collection of DVDs and Blu-rays and physical media at home that you're going to watch instead of watching them. They want you to watch streaming. And they know that even if you ain't watching Netflix, as long as you're watching streaming, you're getting in the habit of watching streaming, not going out and buying physical media, and therefore they're ultimately going to win. They know that eventually this is a long game, all right? They playing a long game. But the last thing they want you to do is sit out here, oh man, I got this like 1,000 DVD collection at home. I don't need to watch Netflix. They want to put that out of business. That's why the studios need to do that. That's what the studios need to focus on. That's like Matt Damon was talking about. Remember Matt Damon was talking about that on Hot Ones?
The DVD was a huge part of our business, of our revenue stream. And technology has just made that obsolete. And so the movies that we used to make, you could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release, and 6 months later you'd get a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost.
Netflix doesn't want to do this shit. So that's the stuff that you got to go out there and do. And you were doing just fine prior to, streaming and the internet and all that stuff like that. You were doing just fine with that. So that's where Hollywood had all the power. They had all the IP. They still have most of the big IP, although now they've lost DC and Harry Potter and Game of Thrones and some of these other major franchises, but they still have Star Wars. They still have Marvel, but you also got to stop making woke shit. All right. You got to go back to listening to the fans.
Really listen to the fans.
Refocus your strategy around physical media and theatrical releases. And keeping these long exclusive windows. If Netflix don't want it, y'all better love it. Y'all better wrap your arms around these long exclusive windows. Again, I show this chart all the time. This is where it all went wrong, okay? The ticket sold. This blue line, this ticket sold was drop. I show this all the time. People not going to theaters anymore, okay? It's been dropping steadily since 2002, probably from the advent of the internet. Hey, I could just, watch shit at home. I can watch YouTube, and then somewhere around here, Netflix started to come into play around the 2010 mark. And it's just been steadily dropping, but it hadn't fallen off of a cliff. When did it fall off the cliff? Oh, it fell off during COVID, during the lockdowns, during the pandemic. That's when it dropped all the way down. Oh, damn, only 200 million tickets sold from a peak of, what was it? 1.5 billion. But see, you guys decided to play right into Netflix's hands. Hey, let's go ahead and shorten the theatrical windows because we can rush stuff to streaming because guess what? Streaming is just the wave of the future. It didn't have to be. You could have just said, nah, we just standing 10 toes down on our original business models. We're not changing anything. Okay? And as a matter of fact, we're going to make things even more exclusive. We're going to make sure that all the big IP, you got to go to theaters to watch it. If you don't watch it in theaters, man, you ain't going to see it for months. Months and months and months are going to go by. And you're going to be like, damn it, I should have went to see this thing in the theater. That's what you should have done. But instead, they played right into Netflix's hand because Netflix is like, we want the short theatrical windows. And that's why this blue line never returned back up here to, like 1.3 billion. Like, think about it, man. Like 1.3 billion tickets sold back in 2018. That's not that far off from 1.5 billion. I mean, it's definitely a difference, but it's not that much of a difference. But now you're talking about like, yeah, this shit is in the 760 million category last year and this year. You've cut it in half. You have cut your moviegoers in half since 2002. This is the problem. And again, it goes right to this. It goes right to not having long exclusive theatrical windows. And it goes right to, hey, you know what? Let's get physical media back in there. Physical media is a great competition against Netflix. Netflix doesn't want anything on physical media. They barely have any physical media. I think like Stranger Things and like a couple of their other bigger titles. But other than that, they're not really messing with physical media. So you got to double and triple down on physical media, theatrical windows, make them long, make people wait. And then they will eventually get over there because guess what? You're going to make more money in the theaters than you'll ever make off of some lousy Disney Plus subscription. No matter how much you hike up the price. You're stupid. And then what they really need to do is kind of just scale back on some of the stuff that they're trying to do to streaming. It's like, all right, yeah, we got our little Disney Plus, we got our, Paramount Plus and everything. We're going to have our exclusive shows on there. But yeah, we're not going to really put a whole lot of money into it because again, that's competing directly with Netflix. Let's refocus what we used to do. What we used to do is embrace theaters and physical media. That's the way to win. Or at least to keep competitive. That's how you don't lose one of your big dogs. I mean, they lost a big dog by trying to become Netflix. Again, the irony is just hilarious. And I don't think they really understood this. I think theaters thought, hey, we got all the content. We could just jump in there and just make some streaming service, hire some tech guys, make a streaming platform. We'll go ahead and run Netflix right on out of business. But Netflix, they already had all the infrastructure there. Okay. They had the interface. People love the Netflix interface. They had already made all the mistakes. They had already been there, done that. They did everything that these streaming studios were trying to catch up and do lickety split. They were trying to do it in 2 or 3 years. Netflix is like, bro, we've been in this game for like over a decade. We've made those mistakes. We know what the audiences want, what they don't want. All right. That's why everybody has it. Plus, we have a global reach. We get content from everywhere, all over the globe. So you guys will never compete with us directly, okay? We the kings of streaming shit. And that's what cooked their own goose. I think Hollywood really needs to come to terms with that. Instead of propping up their streaming services, they're all failing. Disney Plus included. They might have eked out a little bit of money. It's still failing. There's nothing on Disney Plus. They got to offer subscriptions for like $1.99 for 3 months or whatever. And then what do people do? People watch what they want to watch, and then they cut it off. Churn is out of control over there at all of these other spots. And not with Netflix. Netflix churn is decent. They don't lose a lot of subscribers every month. Because people are like, I'm just going to keep it just in case something good comes on that I want to watch. This is it, man. So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Look, I know we're going to talk about this again and again and again, but that is how you can counteract what Netflix is doing. Instead of just trying to, because what they're going to do, this is what they want to do. They want to go to Daddy Trump, all right? Daddy Trump, save us. This is what they want to do. I think Trump needs to just let them take the L. Yep, nah, y'all got to take that L, man. You guys screwed Hollywood up. That wasn't my fault. That wasn't Netflix's fault either. That was your fault. By trying to do something you had no business trying to do. All you had to do is just keep doing what you was doing prior to the pandemic. They would have been just fine. They would have been just fine, man. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Go ahead, jump down in the comments, give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.